Todd County Truth and Taxation Meeting to order. Roll call will be, I just want to welcome Commissioner Byer to the board.
Thank you.
We also have Commissioner Noska, Commissioner Becker, Commissioner Denny, and Commissioner Newman, along with Auditor Treasurer Gaida and Chief Deputy Sabrowski. Will you please stand for the pledge? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Once again, welcome to the Truth and Taxation meeting. This meeting is basically based on the county budget. We're not here to hear about the valuations that just recently come out. So with that, I'm going to turn it over to the Auditor Treasurer and we will go from there.
Thank you and welcome tonight to our Truth and Taxation meeting. Most of the department heads have sat through this a few years, but for the people in the audience, we'll go through what a Truth and Taxation meeting hearing is. The schedule tonight, of course, was the roll call, the pledge. We will present the 2024 county budget, and we'll have a public hearing part where if you signed up, you can come up and speak. The little blue box on this slide is just to tell you that in 2024, the legislation did make a change to our notices, and that we are required by that statute to give the information that is proposed for county, city, and school districts within. The supplemental information is going to be provided on the county website, and it already is there. And upon request for the county, city, and school districts, we have their information as well. So moving along, the meeting purpose for this tonight is for the county commissioners to receive public input regarding the county budget and levy for upcoming payable year. And they do this so that they can make a final budget adoption in December that has to be submitted to the state. Along with this, just so you know, in case you're not familiar, there's two different things we're talking about. We're talking about a budget and we're talking about a levy. The county budget is just a summary of a forecast of what we're trying to anticipate, what our revenues and what our expenditures are going to be for the upcoming year. It's like looking in through a magic 8-ball. We don't know, just like you don't know at home when you're budgeting. We don't know what's going to happen, but we're trying to be conscious to the constituents of our area, and we look at a forecast and we analyze the numbers that we've seen the last 4 years. A county levy is the actual county property dollars that are collected to fund the government operations. So the levy is your tax dollars that we use to pay basically the bills. Property tax values, classifications, tax will not be discussed tonight. That meeting is held in the spring when you have your property values that come out from the assessor's office. And so we've listed his number and you can call and talk to him by appointment. It's Chris Odden, and so if you have any questions tonight in regards to your market value, your classification, things like that, you'd need to make an appointment with him. That's not to be discussed tonight, and we can't. We're only here for the county budget and levy. So that you can better understand, we have a 3-step cycle, and it follows quite along with the blue statements that you got in the mail. Step 1 is in the spring, and the assessor will send out his classifications and market values on his equalization cards that go out to you. And at that point in time, you can go to that spring meeting and you can visit with him. If you have any questions, disputes, concerns on your parcel, that's the time you speak about it. Step 2 would be now in the fall. That's the Truth and Taxation hearing. Now that's after I've received his valuations. I've received budgets and levies from all counties, cities and school districts, and I implement them into a program to calculate the truth and taxations, which are a guesstimate of what taxes will be next year based on just the preliminary numbers. And then step 3 would be the end result when the county assessor and the auditor prepare everything in the spring to do the true tax statements, which would be based on the final levy that the county board sets in December. So that's just the cycle of that, how that goes, and sometimes people get confused and they think they can come here tonight and talk about things that they needed to talk about in the spring. So as far as the budget, the county board developed a finance committee back in 2014, I believe. It consists of myself, my chief deputy, the chair and the vice chair of the board, and the county coordinator. And what we do is actually, this is my budget book, every line item for every department throughout the entire county is in here, and we go and we analyze line by line in the last 3 years, what they budgeted, what they actually spent, what they're budgeting for the upcoming year. And we analyze that to see, did they really need that amount to pay for that cost? And sometimes it was over, so then we have to call the department head in and say, what happened here? You kind of blew this line item. And then they'll justify what had happened, unforeseen things. And so that's the numbers that we're analyzing, and we do this all summer long. We prepare the budgets, send them out to the department heads. We have many budgets and many departments, but our large leaders are our sheriff's department, our HHS department, and our roads, public works department. So those are, with being such large animals, we let them, every department gets to do their own budget, but those we really analyze with them because they know the ins and outs of them. And so through May and July, we're meeting with them, they're calling them back, we're kind of towing them to the line. We're asking them, where can you cut? Do you really need this? And so some of them have to come back a few times, and that's okay, and we work well together. And then in August is when the finance committee provides a recommendation to the county board for the preliminary, which is due September 30th. And then following along with this budget preparation, then in November, December is where we come and we now have this taxation meeting where you can come and ask questions in regards to the budget or levy, if you have any, and propose to the board what you think should be done, if you have any ideas. And then in December, we'll bring back from my office the final recommendation for the board to adopt a final levy and a final budget, because like I said, that has to be submitted to the state by December 30th. So there's many steps to this process, and there's a lot of work that goes into this so that we can get the budget at a livable, manageable number. A little history that goes with this is the tax capacity is derived by market value, and so when the assessor sends over all of his files, it's the market value times the classification that comes up with this tax capacity amount. And you'll see through the years in 18, and it's going up and up and up. And we don't have any control over that. That's market and sales. It's what people are buying for. He has state statutes that he has to follow. He has to stay in between that. I believe it's 95 and 105%. So he's following the guidelines he's following. But as you can see, this tax capacity is continually to escalate up. The county budget, just some history on that. The purple amount is where we get funding from other sources like grants. Departments will look for funding opportunities to bring revenue, to bring money in by doing jobs. We see a lot of that in our planning and zoning and soil water conservation. They're always reaching out for state funding and grants. And then the blue is what the actual county levy is contributing to the budget. There was 2 years in 2020 and 2021 where you'll see these little tiny orange lines. Those were where the board opted to use some of our reserves or savings to offset that budget. We don't like to do that. You don't want to rob Peter to pay Paul. And so we've kind of stepped away from doing that, or we tried to at the best of our ability. We want to keep our money in our reserves. Moving along, the Todd County budget has many components that we have to look at when we're analyzing what funds the county is going to need to operate. The three main factors are health insurance, COLA cost. They're a significant portion of the county budget. And then also along with that, we had our ARP funding, which was a positive impact on the county projects. Such things that helped funded with ARP was we did the entire Justice Center rooftop. It needed to be done, and without that ARP fund, that would have came at a price to taxpayers because that wasn't something we had budgeted for, but we had a real issue over there with water and it needed to be taken care of. And so thank goodness that ARPA funding did come through because that was able to cover those costs. And the same thing with the solid waste cell closure out by Brarville. That came in as a directive right from the state that we were out of time and that had to be covered. And so ARPA funding helped that, so it wouldn't impact the taxpayer dollars. It offset that. Another thing we also look at is economic impact. We have to realize the regular cost of doing business, just like you at home. We have to anticipate, we have seen a significant increase in our like CenterPoint and energy bills and our Minnesota power bills here, just like you do at home. Same thing here at the county. We're seeing those increases too when we have to adjust for those. It's just the rising cost of the day-to-day expenses, even as far as down to our supplies. The cost of paper, envelopes, everything has gone up. And we're seeing that now after COVID and the price increasing. It's escalated in supply and demand. So that's the components that we have to deal with when trying to manage the budget. Our next slide then would be the final components is that we balanced the budget without relying on our savings account, and that was an excellent compliment to the board and to the department heads for doing all the cuts that they did do. And then also we decreased any type of reliance on going out and getting bonds or loans to build things or to do our maintenance project. Our maintenance division has done an excellent job of, since we developed the finance committee in 14, we also developed the facility committee because we were always behind the 8 ball. I've been here for many years, and prior to establishing that committee, we were always, oh no, we have a disaster. A rooftop unit needs to be replaced. We didn't account for that. We don't have the money. Where are we going to go? Where are we going to rob Peter to pay Paul in our budgeting? And so we decided, we're not going to do that. We're going to be proactive. So in 14, we started this facility committee that gets together and they analyze, and our department head for that, Mitch Johnson, is doing an excellent job because he too is analyzing what he needs and what the county needs to keep going and being proactive. And so we're not always, like I said, falling behind and things are falling apart, and then we have big expenses and they are unanticipated. So he's got a wonderful spreadsheet of a 10, 20-year plan of what he sees he needs to do, and so we can be proactive. The charts below are the 2 bonds that we do currently have, and I'm pretty proud to say they're almost paid in 2027. They'll be done in 2026. The first one that you see on the sheet over here is the actual courthouse bond to do this building. That was just the seed money to get started, and that is one that we cannot refi. It's set, we get federal money back on this one, so that one we can't touch. But the second one over here is the actual construction cost. And luckily in 2016, I did some research with our public finance group, and they were like, yeah, you're right. Let's go out and refinance this and get you a better. So we saved tons on interest on that and took years off of that one. And so I'm happy to say when we did that refi on this one, now we're going to be having that paid off in 2026 as well. So in a short time, these 2 bonds will be gone, and that'll be a good thing for the county. That brings the third step in this whole factor, and that would be the county rate. As if we would flip this to the chart I showed you when the assessor brings over the values and the tax capacity, that would absolutely be the opposite of this. That's spiking up, and while that spikes, we try to cut everything we can to go down in the county rate, because the county rate with that tax capacity is what makes your taxes. And if we weren't doing all these cuts and trying to get that rate down, we would see astronomical numbers in taxes because they both would be going up on the scale. So we're constantly trying to cut and bring that down, so that offsets when we're seeing this spike of sales and that market value is going up. We work hard to do the opposite on this end. So when it's all said and done, after we did all of our work this summer and all the committees came together and the department heads did a fantastic job, these are our final numbers that we came with, and we're pretty proud of them. When we started in June, we were actually at 9.89 for a local levy. That's what we would have started with without doing all of our cuts. Through the months, it went down to 5.5, and we ended in September at 3.88. And so I think I commend and I thank my fellow department heads for working so hard to find areas where they could cut, things they didn't need, find resources of funding that they can bring in to offset the expenditures. The county board did some, the chair and the vice chair sat in a lot of the finance committees and went through the line items as well, called some department heads in, asked them to cut or find cuts where they could find them. And so this is where we're at for the final number tonight. Our budget would be 6.9, and our local levy to the tax dollars would be 3.88. At this point, that's the end of my slides, but we have the public hearing portion. And so Chairman Newman, if you have the list, you can call them forward and they can speak on behalf of county budgets and levies.
All right, we'll start with Colleen. Please come up. Good evening.
Am I live? I'm Colleen Jody Biebel. I'm really Colleen, but I go by Jody. Okay, so budgeting. I hear Denise's presentation, and I think one big part of budgeting is what you get paid. And I see our county, our town, my household, we're getting paid less. We're getting paid less. So our budget has to be down a step. My husband and several of the people in Todd County are going to lose 40% of their retirement this year, this coming year. And so they're having to budget and try to find ways to pay your budget, our share of your budget. And so one of my budgeting things is one of our considerations has to be what we're paying from the top down here. Chris told me the other day when I attended your last meeting that we have a hard time finding employees because we don't pay as much as other places. But we have to remember, we're not keeping up with the Joneses. We don't have to keep up with the Joneses because somebody in another county has a higher standard of living or gets paid more for what our people do here. We can't keep up with the Joneses. We have to, in our mind, say, we have to control that. I can't afford to have my health insurance, which is going up 13%, and my deductions, which are going up 36%. It isn't evening out. And so as an individual, I'm making less, but I'm paying more to pay for our employees to get that bump. So in your mind, how much over the next 3 years, how much percentage per year are your employees going up in relationship to mine going down? So I implore you again, as I implored you the other day, we have to control. We have to control what we're spending. And maybe we can't do everything that is being proposed by your department heads or in negotiations. Maybe we can't do everything and keep up with the Joneses. Maybe we have to keep up with Todd County.
Thank you. Okay, next is Shannon.
Hi, my name is Shannon Hinnenkamp. I understand that you're trying to make as many things happen as possible, and I understand that you're trying to make cuts wherever you are trying to do, and I understand all that. I'm a businessman myself. But I know we're not here to talk about taxes, but my taxes went up over $1,000 this year, or for next year. That's just crazy. It's been going up every year since I've built my house. And it's getting way out of hand. We can't borrow money to buy groceries or pay our bills. And that's where it's getting to be. This is crazy. I understand everything's gone up the last couple of years, but maybe it's time to make some cuts to make up for it. Because, you're driving people out of the county, and I'm about this close to moving. I'm fed up with it. My shop, my house, everything. I pay over $30,000 a year just in taxes and insurance. I almost got to get another job. And I already work 14 hours a day. How much is too much? It's time to do something about it.
Thank you. Ed. Good evening.
Down south end of your county, just a few miles off the county line on Alcott Drive. Bought the property in '94. It's unbelievable what's going on as far as taxes are. Built a house 15 years ago on the lake. A couple of years ago, sold it to my daughter and her husband and our grandsons. Built a little guest house on the same property. Daughter's property tax bill is $8,500, or $8,700, excuse me. Forecasted to go to 95 next year. It's getting kind of crazy when you're paying $700 or $800 a month to stay in your own house. And if we're getting a return on the money, that's fine. What does the county do for us down there? You're the commissioner of that part of town. We have a hard time getting the snow plowed in the wintertime decently. A 16-year-old kid in a snow plow in a pickup truck can do a better job than those people can down there. That road was built in what, '98? Was a gravel road, it's paved. Yeah, they throw a little bit of tar or something in the cracks once in a while. That road is getting bad, very bad. Township, you go to the township, oh jeepers. That was 2 years ago we talked about it. We got plans to do something about that in 2025. 2025? Those 5 miles from the county line to the north end of the lake, those are some of the highest property tax paying people you got in this county. You think that the county could do something about the damn road? What's a percentage of your budget here that goes to human services?
Human Service Fund is budgeted at $3,584,000. It's 11%.
You guys got no industry here to be paying out that kind of money. People come up here for a handout, send them down to Hennepin and Ramsey County. That's where the money is. You got no money for this. My neighbor, he came along, he says, He's got a nice house. His taxes are more than mine. When you're paying $1,000 a month to live in your own house to the damn county and talk about police protection and all that, I'm outside every day of the year. I've never seen a deputy down on that road ever in my life. What services do you give us? For the, I don't know, I imagine about $4,000 a year. Sure, the school district, well, you pay into a school district, that's a given. But you guys are giving away too much money. We're tired of supporting it. That's what it's getting down to. Which, you guys are the guardians of the purse here. You're talking about cuts and cuts, and we're trying to budget this and saving this and that. Taxes keep going up every year. This county's not getting bigger population-wise. It's been around 24, 25,000 for years. But you just keep on beating the residential people down. Like I say, you got no industry to draw from here. Think about it.
So Ed, before you go, I wanna say one thing. I live over by Lake Osakis, okay? Lake Osakis is right across the road from me. I'm watching people come up and pay astronomical prices for Lake Shore, okay? And it affects, and that's what the state goes by when they do that. But we're here to talk about the budget, okay? Valuation, we have no control over that. When people come up and buy stuff, I wouldn't pay $500,000 for some of the places they were paying for.
And I agree with you.
And that affects you and I as residents of
Yeah,
Todd
it
County.
sure affects me.
Yeah, so,
Because somebody's giving $500,000 for something that's worth $200,000?
but
Why does that cost me money?
because that's how the state looks at it.
Listen,
So,
the state had about $17.5 billion surplus this year. You guys would be better off sending a lobbyist down there and hooking on to some of that and bringing it here if you need to offset some taxes.
that's another discussion we can have, because there's stuff that the state has pushed down on the county that you and I have to pay for that I'm not happy with, but it's reality because the state's telling us, Todd County, you gotta do this. So that's what affects our budget. When the state comes in, we have no control over that, and there's gonna say, you are gonna pay this, or else.
Or else what? What are they gonna do?
The-
Like I say, all these welfare things that are going on here, this is money that you guys can't afford to be given to people. Making it right for, I don't know, people that doesn't speak our language or something. Doing, you got an influx of people like that and you're making it good for them. There ain't no money here for that. You know that. The money's down in the metro area. Turn them around and send them down there.
Yep.
That's all I got to say about this, but this is getting out of hand. If you're gonna be popping taxes up 10% every year, yeah, we're gonna have to leave. I mean, that's what it gets down to.
Yep. Thank you. All right, with that, I'm gonna turn it back to, yes, ma'am.
I just have a question. So when your property, excuse me, please, just take your name, please. My name's Kateri Rose. I live on County Road 5, just outside of town. My question is, when your property value goes up and then the taxes have to go up, where does all the extra money stay in Todd County? Because you're all saying, everyone keeps saying, we have to pump this price up because the money says the values have become greater, so, which I don't really believe they're really that much greater in the grand scheme of things. But where does that extra money we have to charge you for taxes, do you get to keep it here? Or does it have to go to the state and then they funnel it back?
Denise, you wanna answer that?
Well, your tax, we're not supposed to be talking
I know.
taxes, so
We're
I'd
supposed to be
prefer you
talking
make an
budget.
appointment and come to my office and talk to me.
I'm just, but that's
But
not,
it's-
that's not a question about my personal taxes. This is a question that probably a lot of people would like to know. When,
Your taxes that you pay to
when
us,
your property increases in value, and then your taxes go up.
It doesn't always
Because it
come up.
has to, what?
that doesn't always happen.
Well, this is what I was told, it's gonna have to, whether,
No,
so I'm not bringing in, I'm trying to not
Yep.
bring in my stuff.
right.
I'm trying to ask a straight ass up, whoops, excuse me, question. So we have to increase this. So where does that extra money that we had to increase your taxes for go? Do we get to keep it here in Todd County, or does it have to go to the state and come back?
Okay, so.
So that's not
taxes-
actually,
The taxes, I'm gonna answer this, but it's not a question we're supposed to be answering tonight. But
but I'm sure they're all
always-
wondering.
when taxes are raised, it's not always, or when values are raised, taxes don't always go up. There's many components to this tax calculation. You have your valuation. Your
Okay, that's not what I,
might go-
okay, so it goes up.
Okay.
Skip that whole, we
Yep.
don't know if everybody's gonna get a raise. When it get raised, because your value has gone up, who gets that money?
When it gets settled out, when we receive that tax statement, when you pay us, my office has to settle that tax statement out. A portion gets sent to the school districts, that's on your tax statement. A portion gets sent to the taxing districts that are on your tax statement. The county keeps a portion. State gets a portion from that state tax.
Solid waste.
So there's many entities on that. Well, my truth and taxation statement is right here. So Todd County is gonna get paid. My Breville School District's gonna get
Right.
paid. The state general tax is gonna get paid their portion that they deserve.
But you
And
just told me that not everybody's taxes go up, even if their
Not ev-
values go up.
Right, and that is true. Because my valuation went up, not in my case it did, but I do know how people that have their values go up, but their taxes don't go up because the offsetting, maybe that township's levy went down, or there's, like I said, there's so many components that go into a tax calculation, everyone is different.
Right.
So
But-
if
but
you're
I'm just-
referring to yours, we could go through it if you'd come in, we can pull
Well,
it up. But if you don't want to go through yours, in
Yeah,
general, yes, I
there's-
know what you're saying. There are some that will get a value increase and then they'll get a hike increase. That could have been the school district had a huge voter referendum. That could have been the city or township raised their levy. It could have been the county's levy that affected it.
So the stuff on there that says there's levies, but I was told no one voted on them, but the state implemented them, how is that a thing that can actually be done? How do you say that people voted on it?
The
Because
school
I was,
district
that
is-
stuff in the bottom, I asked, what's the deal?
The voter
And
approved
I don't
levies
remember
are
I ever
voter.
voted on them because I only lived here 2 years
Yeah.
or a year. And they said, oh, well, the state approves them and then we have to pay them. And I was like, I don't think, that's not right.
No, there's the. school
Someone
di-
voted at it at some time.
And you should call your
Okay.
school district if you have questions on that. because
Why
there's
would
a
I call the
voter-
school district instead of the people who are in charge of taxes?
Because they submit this to us.
Who
We're
is the
care-
school, who is the school district?
Whatever school district you live in, you live in.
Well, I mean, what are,
Like if you
are
live,
they, where is the office for the school district
school
located?
district office, like my Burrillville School District, I will go up to the school and the main office is where I would go talk to the
And
superintendent.
why is it?
The bu-
Why is it that way?
I don't know why I don't know what you're asking, because they're.
Why is it that they're in
their
charge
bu-
of,
They're in charge of their budget. That's their budget that they
but
submit
they're
to
not
me.
really in charge of taxes.
They're a portion of this, if
Yes,
they
they
wanna
are.
get in the settlement, if they wanna get
I know,
their
but
money
it still
back.
seems like that,
The
why do
city-
I go, because it's such a huge amount of money.
Right.
They're actually getting more than you guys are getting, so I'm like, I feel like,
Okay.
so the superintendent of schools is running us? I mean, that's what it feels
School.
like.
They're running a school. So
Uh,
then
no,
you
then
will
that's
ask them.
because more of our money, a lot of our money's going to that. I know that a lot of it goes to that, but
Okay.
it makes it feel like the superintendent, who I never really wanted to be, is the superintendent elected? I don't
Well,
think so.
yeah.
Why is he in charge of so much of the money?
Thank you.
That's all.
Okay.
I mean, don't you ever wonder? He's not elected.
Yeah. I understand.
That's my 85 cents plus, so.
Thank you.
It's just questions I think people, even though they're tax questions, I feel like people want to know some of these things. Yes, you can show us all the charts and all the blah, 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 but sometimes you have to throw in some of the where the tax stuff, blah, blah, blah goes, because not everybody brought their pen and paper, I forgot mine, to write down all the questions they really'd like to think about over time to talk about with people.
The county department heads and everybody, we worked really hard to keep it at as low as we could, so.
Well, I know that. You said that already. I'm just saying, I didn't elect that guy in any school office. They do make way more money than you guys, so you guys should all feel bad. And they're not very nice usually.
Thank you. All right,
Thanks
Denise.
for letting me talk.
Mm-hmm.
You should have shut me off at some point.
All right, so with that closing of the public comments, the options that we have before us is the 2024 county budget and the levy of final adoption. And our steps that we'll go through, and that has to be done no later than December 30th, will be, we'll bring forth option 1 to bring the preliminary levy that was certified September 5th and keep it the same as I showed. Or 2, the board has the option to make cuts, and if they do that, that will reduce services. So we can make all the cuts in the world, but then when the sheriff isn't showing up because he's cut deputies or roads aren't being plowed because we won't have people to work on the plows during the winter, that's when we'll get the phone calls. So we don't like to cut expenditures that way because that will cut services. Or you have option 3, you can use cash reserves to lessen the impact on the local levy increase. So that's the board's 3 options that they'll be looking at in December. This is a list of all the department heads, and I kind of wish those gentlemen went to the left because I wanted them to know that if they had issues, they could call these departments. This also has the county commissioners' phone numbers on there. We will have this updated. I believe Commissioner Byers has a county phone now, and I think we listed your private cell, so we'll get this updated and changed, but this is in that packet if you do choose to reach out to your. And that's the end of my presentation. So with that, if the county board has any questions, we will bring forth in December the final levy, leaving it at the 3.88 unless you instruct me otherwise.
Okay, any questions? If not, I would like to thank all the department heads for coming tonight. Sheriff, thank you. Is there anything else? We can adjourn.
No, I just wanted to thank the department heads and the finance committee for working so hard on this, so thank you.
All right. Do we need a motion to adjourn?
No, it's not. It's a
Okay.
public hearing.
All right.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, everybody.